Good day, folks. Today I'm going to talk about the military anniversaries that occurred during the Second World War, and also going to talk about the unprecedented catastrophes that have been happening all over the world, all on 2020 this year. Now, first of all, we've already went over the VE Day, that's the victory in Europe. That was the 75th anniversary. We've already spoke about the 80th anniversary of the Dunkirk evacuations. And today, I'm going to speak about the 75th anniversary of the victory over Japan. Recognised on the 15th August this year, commemorating the end of the Second World War. Whilst VE Day, Victory in Europe, marked the end of the war in Europe in May 1945, many thousands of armed forces personnel were still engaged in bitter fighting in the Far East. Victory over Japan would come at a heavy price, and Victory over Japan Day, Vijay Day, marks the day Japan surrendered on the 15th August 1945, which in effect ended the Second World War. Fighting in the Asia Pacific took place from Hawaii to northeast India. Britain and the Commonwealth Principal Fighting Force, the 14th Army, was one of the most diverse in history. More than 40 languages were spoken, and all the world's major religions represented. The descendants of many of the Commonwealth veterans of that army are today part of multicultural communities around the world. A lasting legacy to the success and comradeship of those who fought in the Asia Pacific. For veterans of the Far East campaign, the nation thanks them all for their service and sacrifice. Events have already taken place to pay tribute to the tens of thousands of service personnel from across the UK and the Commonwealth who fought and died in the war against Japan, including all those who were held as prisoners of war by the Japanese. They were sometimes called being the Forgotten Army because war in Europe, the D-Day landings, etc., eclipsed what was happening out there in the Far East. But they're certainly not forgotten, and they will never be forgotten. They were just as necessary than any other army during that period. So we remember them all. Now, I'm going to talk about the unprecedented catastrophic events happening throughout the world. This year not only commemorates anniversaries of events in the Second World War, but it also is remembered, and it will be remembered throughout the whole of time, about the catastrophic disasters happening all over the world. Approximately 21 million people worldwide could be affected by river floods. And the 15 countries with the most people exposed, including India, Bangladesh, China, Vietnam, Pakistan, Indonesia, Egypt, Myanmar, Afghanistan, Nigeria, Brazil, Thailand, Democratic Republic of Congo, Iraq and Cambodia, to mention a few. But not forgetting our own island and the USA. we've had our fair share of flooding, climate changing catastrophes. So 2020 will go down as a year in history of disasters and catastrophes, including the COVID-19, the virus that's also creating a catastrophic effect on all the world. China is probably the worst off for this disaster, having many cities and towns affected and a lot of the people dispersed, millions of people dispersed, loss of their livelihood, the loss of their homes, the loss of factories, and now they have a swarm of locusts coming upon them. So it is an unprecedented event in the history of the world. There hasn't been a catastrophe like this seen throughout the history of the world. Not as serious as this anyway. So condolences to them all. The governments need to get together to try and find a solution or try and alleviate the suffering that is going on throughout the whole of the world this year, 2020. Certainly a year to be remembered for such an unprecedented event, such as what we are seeing now, catastrophic. So there we are, folks. I know the lockdown is still upon in many areas, but it's necessary. So TCSS, take care, stay safe. Thanks for viewing, and I hope to see you all on the next journey. Please subscribe if you can, and this will allow many more Munro's journeys to be viewed and enjoyed by yourselves. So signing out, bye just now.